This is a story about being wrong. It's a simple example of how your own assumptions can have a damaging impact on you, your relationships, and your life. It's a story about me and a girl. Her name is Kay. Kay was the prettiest girl in the elementary school I was transferred to when I was 12. Every college, every high school, and every elementary school has one of them. The hottest, the cutest girl that everyone wants to be friends with and every guy dreams about. That was Kay. She was smarter than us, she was cooler than us, and she was surrounded by other pretty girls. She was this perfect, symmetrical, blue-eyed blonde beauty who usually ends up in beauty magazines when she grows up. Me and my friends would go and play hoops and make bets who would get one day to be with her. A typical goofy game teenage boys will play. That's how crazy everyone was about her. After 3 years, I finished elementary school and I went to high school. And to my surprise, on the first day I learned that Kay not only went to the same school, but also that we would be classmates. To this day, I remember the moment I walk into the hall and I see her standing in front of our classroom. I don't remember anything else from that day other than this, and me being so happy that we'll get to know her and that we will spend the next few years together in the same class. First year of high school started, and Kay turns out to be much cooler than we all thought in elementary school. She was intelligent, funny, mature, sweet, emotional, and full of empathy. She was so awesome that you can spend years looking for someone like this, and you won't even get a chance to find anyone even remotely close to what she was like. Just the perfect girl we all dreamed about. We started talking more and more with every month, and we started spending time with each other. We quickly realized that we operate on the same emotional level, and she was clearly impressed by how respectful I was to women, and I was just super happy that she wanted to be friends with me. I remember how proud she made me anytime we would be walking somewhere together, and when I saw how other guys looked at her. I was very lucky because my class was made of 21 girls and only 3 of us guys. All the girls were absolutely amazing, and high school is probably the best period of my life to this day. We're all still good friends. I'm saying this because I know how horrible high school can be sometimes. Despite such a huge imbalance in sexes in our class, we all get on really well with each other, being like one big family. Us being regular teenagers, we all started falling in love with each other, there was some usual drama, and by the end of the second year we were all pretty much set when it comes to what our places were in the hierarchy of high school emotions. Me and Kay became really good friends. It also turned out that we lived in the same neighborhood right next to each other, and we started commuting to and back from school together, and we occasionally would spend some time together after school. Kay was very physical with me in our friendship, and she would always hug me and stay close to me. I absolutely loved spending time with a girl, and it was a perfect friendship between a boy and a girl because I felt she was so out of my league that unlike with the rest of girls in our class, I never even allowed myself to think of her as anything other than a friend. She had a boyfriend who was as good looking as she was, and not in a million years did I ever imagine her being interested in me. She was this perfect 10 who had an awesome life, and she could have had anyone she wanted. Everything was going great until one day we were on a bus going back home, and she got annoyed by me saying that we're just friends. To this day, I remember that angry, concerned expression on her beautiful face as she said, "What made you say we cannot be anything more than friends?" I'm not sure what she meant. I wasn't even 17, and at that time you can only imagine how emotionally and sexually mature a 16-year-old boy is. I liked my place in that relationship where she was completely out of reach, while I was falling in love with other girls whose rejection wouldn't have broken my heart in a million pieces. The friendship I had with Kay was perfect because she was too awesome to ever be with me, and I never allowed myself to have any feelings for her. I just liked the comfortable thought of her treating me as a close classmate she talks to, until that one sentence at the back of the bus. I remember laughing it off nervously, but that was the moment when I started thinking about her all the time. Things became really uncomfortable for me, and eventually it led to me self-sabotaging a friendship. I used to do it with a lot of people, and I've paid for it so many times. What I would do is, when things got to a point where I would need to make an emotionally mature decision, I would panic and cop out by not talking to people anymore. I would just stop paying attention to them, and I pretended they didn't exist. Horrible, cruel, idiotic, and immature thing that I did many times to many people, and it's something that I'm still fixing to this day. And I did this to Kay, out of all the people. It started from a stupid phone call when, after being off sick, she wanted me to come over and give her the notes, and me convincing myself that she's using me. After that, one of my friends coincidentally and conveniently created a drama out of her jealousy of me and Kay being close. Just a side note, after 20 years, she did this again only a few weeks ago. It's amazing how people don't change. But she's great too. So after a confusing and awkward argument between me and Kay that I completely designed and executed, I decided that I need to stop being friends with her. You need to understand that it wasn't just me being a drama queen. I really couldn't handle rejection back then, and the only method I knew of dealing with pain was making sure preemptively I don't get into situations that would cause it. It's something that my mom used to do, and I think she still does it to people, and I subconsciously copied this type of behavior. So after 2 years of a wonderful friendship, I decided it's time to end it, and I don't think I ever talked to Kay again. We might have exchanged a few sentences, but that was it. We never hung out in high school again. She did move on to other people, but I stopped paying attention, and I somewhat convinced myself that I don't really like her. It was so much easier. So we all finished high school and we went our separate ways, and 2 years ago we had one of our high school reunions, and I decided to get in touch with her. She would never show up to these, but I decided to text her because I really wanted to know what is going on with her. I need to mention that for all those years she had been the image of a perfect woman for me. Every relationship I was in, I was always measuring everybody against her. She was the ideal girl that I put on a pedestal. We met exactly 20 years later after we stopped being friends with each other, and we sat down and started talking. And it turned out that this 20 years absolutely did not matter. Within minutes, we were the same close friends again that we were in high school. I told her how bad I feel about what I did, and to my surprise, she said that she didn't even remember that I stopped talking to her. To her, we were friends throughout all of high school. That's how she remembered it. We started talking and we started telling each other stories about how we went through high school, what happened in our lives after that, and where we were now. It turned out she's doing really well. She has her own law practice and she's making good money. She has a great career and she's in a happy relationship. Her life seemed exactly what I imagined it to be. After all, she still was the perfect Kay. I was really happy for her, and I was so glad that we're sitting next to each other again. It felt amazing. It turned out we still not only can relate to each other on an emotional level, but now we have the same interest in the metaphysical aspects of life. As the night progressed, we started getting more and more drunk, and we started opening up and talking more honestly about what is really going on in our lives, and I quickly learned that things are very different from what I have imagined for the last 25 years. It turned out that Kay comes from a dysfunctional home with her mother abusing her physically for many years. I remember her stories that she would tell me on our way to school, that her mom would beat her up, but aggression was kind of a norm where we were growing up, and I thought that was not a big deal. To be honest, I didn't even know how to react to that back then. It turned out that she was very lonely throughout high school. I started connecting the dots and I realized that actually other girls didn't really want to be friends with her. It was only when I got older and I learned that this is a problem that very attractive women have. They either have someone who's fake nice to them, in love with them, or people just don't want to be around them. Men are too insecure and too afraid of being rejected, and women do not want to be seen with someone who takes away all the attention from them. It turned out that in her misery, her boyfriend was the only person she could turn to, and she told me that he wasn't even that special to her. As she said it herself, it was just a shoulder to cry on. I started looking at her from a different perspective now, and a completely new girl appeared in front of me. She later told me how she's emotionally disturbed, how she cannot handle adult life, and we decided to meet again soon. The more I talked to her in the next months, the more I realized how horribly wrong I was about her and everything that was going on back in elementary school, in high school, and how it would all eventually lead to her being a lost, broken adult who can't handle the emotional side of life, and someone who started to drink a bit too much, under all the pressure from her work, from her relationship, but most of all, from what's inside of her. And this was a heartbreaking realization for me. This was not some kind of a high school hottie who was too busy being pretty to talk to regular guys. It turned out it was a vulnerable, lonely teenage girl who needed help and attention. And what I did to her was the most cruel and the most selfish and immature thing that a friend can do. It was pretty much just adding insult to injury. I was so insecure and juvenile that I absolutely ruined something that could have been a beautiful, long-lasting friendship only because I assumed that who she was wouldn't allow her to be close to me. It turned out that she needed my friendship as much as I needed hers, if not more, and it made me realize how objectifying someone like that creates a completely distorted picture of everything related to that person. It's one of the biggest regrets of my life to this day, and becoming friends with her again made me feel about all of this much worse. I treat it as a punishment I have to pay for what I did. I promised her and myself that I will not leave her like that again, although it's been 20 years and we both accomplished a lot and we built different lives. And I said to her a few days ago that I'll make sure that I take care of that friendship because I wouldn't want to lose her again like that. And she was happy I was willing to do it. Every time I get in touch with her and I hear that she has just been thinking about me or that she's really happy to hear from me, it makes me realize that many of us do get a second chance in life to fix something they messed up. I'm telling you all of this because this painful disaster of a ruined friendship goes all the way back to a simple assumption of who I thought she was, who I thought I was, and what situation we were in that made me completely ignore all the red flags and all the signals that a normal person would pick up on and react to while being friends. I was just a really bad friend because I saw what I wanted to see instead of what was in front of me. We all do it, and I wouldn't want you to make the same mistake as I did. I want you to analyze all the people you have in your life and think, who do you see the way they are and who do you see the way you are? Because they might be two different people. Go through the list of your friends and family members and think, who might need help and who are you ignoring because of your own insecurities or because of your own selfish reasons? Don't do it to yourself, but mostly don't do it to others. They probably don't deserve it. People need us. We need each other in this life, and it is too short for making false assumptions. You have this unlimited gift of giving your presence to somebody else, and sometimes that is all they need. Remember about this as you go through life and don't hurt people without asking, how can I help? Have the confidence to reach out to people even when they don't say they need you. Assumption is the mother of all failures in life. Love, Peter.